It actually continued to record the process of them pouring the cleaner into the recording device, which led to their undoing.
Well, what do you say to a story like that, other than they could have been a little smarter about it? You know, the question is, how many people will see this and try to do the same thing in these other cities? D.C., New Jersey, L.A., everywhere that you have a large Indian population, you know there's going to be some jewelry stores nearby, and you wonder how many of them got the same idea to do something like this. Hard times shouldn't call for such ridiculous measures.
Well, hopefully they'll be a little bit smarter if they do try it somewhere else, as opposed to pouring drain cleaner in your recording machine.
It's just sad. Well, folks, this is a story that's not going to surprise you altogether too much, but I thought it was a really interesting take on what life can be like for a second-generation Indian American to go back to settle in India. This is not our parents. These are not folks that came here in their 30s, but rather these are children of those people that came here in their 30s, who are now in their 30s themselves, going back or choosing to go back to India to start their life there. And this was out of littleindia.com. This used to be a magazine. Now it's a wonderful website. I highly encourage all of us to go there and read the stories that they feature. But this one chronicles the story of Sapna Chadha, who is 34 and with her husband decided to move back home to India to live her life there as an American Express marketing director executive. Now, of course, you know, she's living a good life in that she makes good money, and she's used to the Western style of working, which India is eager to hire people in with that kind of perspective. So she's done very well for herself, although she says, you know, things are a bit of an adjustment sometimes working overseas. For example, there's a lot of yelling and reprimanding that happens here in the office environment. People react when you yell, and it's like, oh, she's serious. I have to get my work done. And she's also troubled by the fact that many hires are often based on connections and not on merit. You know, she's living a life that we sometimes see in shows like The Outsourced, right, on NBC. Only, you know, she's saying that it's a good life. The funny part of this article is that her father was asked, he's 73, whether he would go back. Now, he came here in his early 30s, settled here, raised kids here, and he said, no, why would I go back? India would be like a strange land to me, and I would be a stranger within it. But his daughter, who's never lived there, grew up here, she seems to be perfectly at home. I think this is a success story that a lot of people in her generation are realizing that the opportunities exist abroad. They're not here as much as they are abroad.
Yeah, I think this is happening more and more, particularly with the younger generation. They realize there's a lot more opportunity in India for them in some cases than there is here. So.
And in some cases, you know, the path towards being successful is a lot easier than it is here. For one, you've got a lot of competition. The economic conditions aren't favoring you. But in India, there's a demand. And with these globalized companies, they're really looking for people with fresh perspectives. So if you have the skills and you can navigate the language, it may not be a bad idea to try your luck back home.
Also, whenever I'm on the show, I always talk about this. I always talk about the natural gas drilling, the fracking that goes on, and the harm that it causes to the environment.
And I remember the movie that the documentary film was nominated for an Academy Award. So I remembered you when I saw the clips.
That's right. Gasland is the movie you're referring to. Well, the Maryland General Assembly in the next week or two is going to take up a bill to severely restrict natural gas drilling in western Maryland. So if you're a resident anywhere in Maryland, I would encourage you to contact your local state representatives there to express your opinion about whether natural gas drilling should be restricted in those areas. Now, I, for one, believe it should be. I think that the harm that the drilling causes to the environment is too great, and it leaves these small communities a wasteland when these big companies are done. So please reach out to your local representatives, express your opinion, and stop it.
I know. It can be easy during times when energy prices are going up, gas prices are going up, to look at other options. Natural gas becomes your very natural next option to petroleum and to oil. But it comes at a price, too. And I know Gasland really showed that well. And in western Maryland, Pennsylvania, on the eastern seaboard, we have a lot of shale. And that shale is where a lot of this natural gas is extracted, causing all the environmental concerns that you just mentioned. So it's very real, and it's in our backyards. Well, another sign of the changing times is what has happened to Ronald McDonald. Folks, you remember the red-haired clown. When I grew up as a kid, he was in all the McDonald's commercials along with his cohorts, the burglar and Mayor McCheese and Grimace, the purple guy. I always remember those characters. Well, it's been years since you've seen them, folks, and that's by design. McDonald's has actively sort of marketing away from the kids. It used to be McDonald's was the place for kids, and it was the place to go for Happy Meals. And now what you're seeing is in many places, like in San Francisco, the Happy Meal was almost outlawed there. And even Ronald McDonald is taking a back seat to McDonald's other marketing initiative, which is to go after adults. You know, when they saw Starbucks succeeding as well as they did with just coffee, they got the idea that they should really be catering towards the older consumer, the adult consumer. And that has really, really helped McDonald's a lot, not just with their more diet-conscious menus, but in just a few years, the company is well on its way to beating Starbucks as its own game with the McCafe, which is driving revenue growth in 6 of the past 7 quarters to a record high of $24 billion in sales last year. So this is not an accident, what McDonald's is doing here. But if you ask the officials at McDonald's what happened to Ronald McDonald, they'll tell you that Ronald isn't on the firing line. He's not being fired. He's just being put away for a little while, and then, you know, sometimes when they want, they bring those characters back out for nostalgia's sake, but they will not be part of an active marketing campaign. So I just thought that was kind of funny to see a brand go after one demographic and then completely shift gears to go after a different demographic and do it while succeeding.
Ronald's on injured reserve. You know, McDonald's, it's trying to change its face, its image, its ways, but there are too many things that are still wrong with it. You know, we don't take our kids there because the chicken nuggets or whatever you call those round pieces of meat that they serve that are white, they contain so many ingredients that are actually banned in Britain. Britain will not allow McDonald's to put those same ingredients that we allow in the United States to go into McNuggets that you put in your kids' bellies. So, you know, we've actually avoided things like that there, but it's good to see that they're trying to take a new approach and evolving and, you know.
And unlike many brands that, you know, have ceased to exist just simply because they couldn't find a way to reinvent themselves, McDonald's is actually one of the companies that are highlighted often in many business classes as a company that's managed to evolve and continue to be at the top of its game.
Well, Asa, Twitter is now 5 years old, which means it's about to go out of style. But Time.com recently did a story on the 5 most popular tweets, according to Time.com.
Wow.
And let's just go through these, because it's a telling story. Number 1 was Barack Obama announcing in November 5th, 2008, that he won